I'm going to show you two pictures. The one on the screen right now is from an assignment that I gave one of my sixth graders when I was teaching my first year in 1992. And we didn't have a writing curriculum. We didn't know what kind of essays to write. I think maybe we did a research paper, probably, but I don't know. Everything that I did was basically just stuff that I found that would be fun. And there was no internet then. And so we would go to the store and find books on creative writing. And it was always just kind of like goofy prompts. And that particular year, they were writing tall tales. So you may have done this. There's nothing wrong with it. But to me, this was like the best that I could get from my students was, well, you get to write it on receipt paper. So that's fun. It was like an art project. It was not good. But I want to show you what today looks like. So here's another sixth grader. And this is after they have gone through my writing program that I created. I dropped all of the boxed writing curriculum that I could find. And I based my writing program on my own personal experiences that I'd had over the past years of being a teacher and an author of children's books. And this particular student here just stunned me because he was an English language learner. And it was difficult for him, but he really, really wanted to get better at writing. He said that. And I said, do what I'm going to tell you, and you will get better at writing. And he did. Wrote this amazing story that brought a tear to my eye. It was incredible. And so what I want to do today is take you through a little bit about how I transformed my program into a uninformed art project program to something that is completely focused on developing writing skills that they will have for the rest of their lives. What I'm going to do actually is take you through a few of the slides that are in my author presentation when I go and speak at schools, because I want to give you a little bit of background of what happened to me in my life that changed my idea about why I no longer wanted a boxed curriculum. I have had a number of books published. These are my Disney books, HarperCollins. This was my latest one from Houghton Mifflin. And so many cool things have happened. And I go through the kids here and I explain all about how illustrators work with writers. And I talk about scholastic book fairs and how things sell and when you get foreign rights and all this stuff. I also talk about the books that I loved as a kid that really influenced me. But what I want to get to is this down here where I share them, all these letters that I got, and I ask them what they think these are. And they're like, oh, they're all nice letters about how they love your books and want to publish them. No, they are all rejections. Hundreds and hundreds of rejections that I got through the actual physical mail. I had to go walk down the street for this, walk of shame every time. And then something changed though. I was able to finally get published, and it took me 10 years. 10 years of trying to figure out how to write a book. And this is what really changed it for me, was when I figured out what voice is and how to inject it into my writing. And it sounds like, well, easy. You just kind of make it cool and stylistic and stuff. It's actually harder, particularly for an adult who hasn't been exposed to how to do this. It's so much easier to teach voice to students when they're younger. So we want to get this out there earlier than later because it will make the learning curve just a lot less. And so voice is when you use particular way of responding to the world based on who your character is. What things would they say? What would their internal dialogue sound like? It's going to be different for every character. And then how do you like sprinkle that in a little bit here and a little bit there? And when is the best time to do that in your story? Anyway, voice, if you're new here, that is my number one skill that I teach my students every year. And we do it nonstop on repeat. If you have a moment, do a voice lesson. Do it again, do it again, do it again. And then I talk to the kids about all this whole process of revising and stuff, right? So what happened is that I had never been through this process. And my Disney editor sent me a revision letter after I'd gotten my first book purchased, right? The revision letter, there were no edits done on my manuscript. It was just a letter. This is one from the classroom, and it goes like this. You'll see it on the screen, and then it goes on for 10 more pages. And there's all these things they want me to switch, and you get this, like, overwhelming feeling like this is humanly impossible to make all these changes. And then you take a deep breath, and then you print everything out, and then you take your red pen and you take your binder with you everywhere you go, to your kids' games and, like, carpool lines. I wrote and rewrote these books so many times. There has to be a resilience there, and it's something that I really wanted my students to have as well, build stamina. Because when you go on from there, the line edits, the copy edits, all that, it gets really, really intense, but then you get used to it, and then you realize that I can do this. And you finally get your book published. So I talk a lot about the importance of this, a hook. That's the second skill that I teach in my writing program. And it is something that they need for every type of writing they do. They need to slow down and think about how to enter into a story before they get writing. And they'll get some stamina and some confidence by doing the voice lessons. And then there's a couple of really fun hook lessons that I do with them, and we often will do a competition. So, what I want to do next, you all, is take you through, like, the student slides through some of those so you can kind of see how I introduce to them the concept of a workshop versus doing essays um, in blocks of time. So let's take a little trip through some of the slides that I share with my kids when I introduce this to them. They have time to tinker, explore, try new things during workshop. Once I get it up off the ground, we do it once a week. And what I have found was that when I had other box curriculum, everything was so targeted to, like, a product. It was like, now you're going to learn how to write a lit analysis paper, or now you're going to learn how to respond to blah, blah, blah. I still do all that in my class. However, I found that writing is a totally different beast, and you cannot get a product out of someone who doesn't have basic skills. And we have to remember that these are kids. So I try to run my workshop like you would a little league baseball team, have them involved, have them doing stuff. And so that's what I do is I give them jobs. They get to sign up for them. So we have leaders. Then there's choice, and I'll show you a little bit of that. The lessons that I do, and then diamond mining, super important. And then here are the leadership jobs that we have. We have captain, timekeeper, and a tech manager. And then we rotate through that, like whenever, once a month or whenever I remember to do that. And then the second thing is that they get choice. And I always like to keep my choice at about 3. So there's 3 paths. And then maybe down this particular path, you might have a few choices there. So this is what I call the 3 streets of Writer's Workshop, and they will either decide to write from Genre Street, Rant and Rave Road, or Spinner and Dare Drive. And in their slides, I do all this in Class Kick, but they have access to this of what's in genre, rant, and spinner. So genre is for your kids who love to write chapter books and really long, epic, kind of fantasy stuff, or a big Western that goes on for years. Like, and you'll have those. And so Genre Street will collect those kids and say, I see you, and you get to work on that in workshop. And some of them will just love it. Like, they absolutely get to work on one project for the entire year. Absolutely. And then if that doesn't work, do Rant and Rave Road. So they just write a letter to whoever that it's burning them up at the time, or whoever they love. So I had you can write a letter to your shoe. Whatever that's going on, they sometimes, if they get really stuck and they're like, I can't think of anything, I say, I want you to write me a letter about how difficult this assignment is. And one of them, I got the best example of voice from that particular letter, and she was my diamond writer of the day. She went from not writing to being the star. Boom. And then I'll talk about diamonds. They could do Spinner and Dare Drive. A lot of them go to this path here, because the spinner is a digital spinner and they get to click on it and it makes sounds and then it tells them a topic or a verb or a noun or a situation or whatever, and they just go from there. And I teach them to drop into a scene and not start from day one when they're walking down to their kitchen and they're having breakfast and pancakes and sausage, because they always have the same thing. Don't do that. Drop into a scene. Before they write, I always give power lessons. So there are 6 skills that we learn on repeat. Here are the 6 skills: voice, hook, sentence complexity, figurative language, vivid imagery, show, don't tell. I teach them in this order. They are high priority skills that they'll use for all different types of writing. And it's important to kind of stack the amount of time that you spend on these, because you're going to get the most bang for your buck. If I spend a heavy amount of time in voice and hooks and sentence complexity, the amount of great writing I can get for the rest of the year is so different than if I just started the year with, let's do show, don't tell. Let's talk about senses. And that might seem easy, low-hanging fruit maybe, but that's what it is. It doesn't give you much bang. It's not going to show up that much in their writing. So I strongly suggest start with voice. And then this is the big thing that we work on is I find diamonds, the kids find diamonds in each other's writing. So I have shifted it so that we don't really do constructive criticism. I might do a whole video just on that because I have lots of opinions. They find diamonds in each other's writing. And then I always pick a couple of diamonds of the day too. And they absolutely love that. They love being found. But I don't let them start writing in workshop time right away. I tell them they have to earn their way in there. And to earn their way in, they start with a voice lesson. It's a real fun thing where they get up and walk around, and it's really cool. So that's another video. But what I wanted to say was that I found that focusing on 6 skills that they remember and recognize, and they see it in other authors' writing, that it starts to stick. Then they can take these skills and apply them to the essays that they're doing. The essays are done in a 10-day block. We stop workshop. We just do essay writing, get it done, then go back. The cool thing about it is that if you have some kids who don't finish their essay, the rest of them go back to workshop writing and they're happy as can be. And these other students are motivated to get their work done so they can head back into workshop time because they love it. So that's kind of what I wanted to introduce you to this week, is the concept of maybe ditching your boxed curriculum and trying something a little bit different. I do have a training. You can grab the free part of it down below. Module 1 is free. And then I made an ebook. I did a 10 video training on exactly how I do this. We have a Facebook group of teachers who are all doing the thing. They are awesome. And you'll see pictures of like before and after, and then how everybody is doing it differently in their classrooms, and they are collaborating, and it's amazing. All right, so that's it for this one, and I'll see you in the next video.